And here's the thing, why do God want us to learn? The more we learn, the more you know that you don't know.
Welcome to the Elite Few podcast, where we explore the fabulous, extraordinary world of the people who move the needle of success. Join our host Tiffany and producer Kyle as we dive into the stories and insights of the elite few who are making a difference and pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Let's get started.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Elite Few podcast, where my name is Kyle Goodnight. I'm the co-host and producer of the show. Today, we've got, Coach Queen on to talk about something very special. Tiffany, say hi to everybody and go ahead and introduce Coach Queen and what she's going to talk to us about today.
Hi, I'm Tiffany, and again, thanks for joining us. And Coach Queen is back. I'm so excited. We're going to go into human design today. It's very interesting, very unique. I think just really spins off of what we just spoke with her about during our hypnosis show. If you haven't seen that, please do watch it. There are some great things about us, our personalities, that we were made and designed by God intricately, down to the last detail. And when you do this human design, it's amazing what you can find out. So go ahead, Coach Queen, and tell us everything. We had started one together. I had done a human design, and she's going to explain to us what it is and what we need to know.
Yay. So thank you again for having me. So human design is, first of all, I want to start by making it clear, because there are so many misconceptions when it comes to those things. It's not a religion. It's a lifestyle, most like it. So it is based on very ancient spirituality and science. So we are talking about quantum physics here. We're not talking about your science 101 that you learn at school. We are talking about the thing that is extremely pushed and researched and so on and so forth, which is exactly what is astrology. It's not magic, it's quantum physics. And so I love that I have this opportunity to clarify that today on your platform, because there is so many, people who don't know what that is, and they're like, I don't know if the Lord likes this or X, Y, and Z. And at the end of the day, if you're a believer, you're a believer. It will never change no matter what you do, right? At the end of the day. But understanding that there's so much knowledge that comes from ancient spirituality will definitely open your mind like never and nothing else. So we're talking...
Well, and let's point out here, I don't want to interrupt you, but
yeah,
I think this needs to be thrown in there real quick. It's not like Kyle and I are getting out a Ouija board.
No,
it's not like we're spinning absent.
No, we're not burning sage or anything.
Or anything like that.
No.
Just for people watching, if you consider burning sage, please remember that sometimes just pisses them off. So rethink that. Really, you want to. I just want to point that out, because there's such a misconception with so many things in Christianity in general. Yeah. And I understand the churches aren't ignorant about it on purpose. Yeah. It's just that they don't know, right? And we're dealing with people from back in the 40s, 30s, 20s that were trying to lead people, but they had no knowledge or sophistication to understand anything beyond the tiny bit of education that was available to people. Yeah. We didn't even have blood types in the 40s, but there's many people preaching today that learned from those people. And even the difference between the North and the South in churches, the education level between a minister was just, all you need is your Bible. You just got to believe in God and your Bible. You don't need to know how to read. You just need to know how to read the Bible. Yeah. And it's ridiculous. And moving to the South, you did see quite a bit of things that make you go, really? Wow. That's okay. So I feel like, and I had an amazing woman that did a Bible study one day, and she said, we all need to recognize that being educated on every level doesn't make us not following God, because she grew up down here and she saw the dangers in it. And,
I was going there.
Yeah.
I was going there. Definitely.
So real quick, you mentioned earlier before we started recording that if you knew my birth date and my exact time of birth, there could be a little real human design episode here.
We could put a curse on you together without you knowing it and hypnotize you.
Let me go get that. I'm kind of interested. So
Go on,
if
go on.
if all of a sudden you see me disappear and if we don't edit it right, I'll be back. So sorry, I just heard that you said that. I'm like, oh, let me go get that.
No problem at all. Yeah, but so Tiffany, I love what you said. I was going there, and it's like it's not just in the church as per se, it's like literally in all of the religious institutions. And I love that you said that, because I'm like, this is literally a thought that I never really shared with everyone, but I know that it's a strong stance. That's why I never really shared it, but it is true. It's like when you are going to any religious institution, any religious organizations, what is their purpose? Okay, great, they're guiding you closer to God, and that's amazing. But outside of this, how do they depend on you being there? Why do they want you to be there physically all the time? It's because you're tithe. It's because you're giving to them. So you being there, you bringing people to them is making them more successful. And so at the end of the day, what is more important to God is for you to be closer to him and have a relationship with him. And what did he say to everyone? He told us as a commandment is to educate ourselves to everything, question everything, even what is written in the
I do want to point
scriptures.
out for people watching, because she's not saying don't tithe. I want to make that really clear.
Yeah, exactly. No,
we
no,
believe
not
in
at all.
karma, reaping, sowing,
Absolutely.
laws of nature. Her and I are huge believers in that. So anybody watching, we didn't just say that. I mean,
absolutely.
I know there's going to be someone that goes, well, and then they said, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah.
Thank you for clarifying. Yeah.
Well,
I'm not saying
a long
don't do
time.
that.
I know how this game is played.
Absolutely not. I mean, hey, I'm part of non-profit organizations, and that's part of my life, So look, at the end of the day, it's about learning all the things that are available to us, and having that mindset of questioning everything, so that when you choose to believe, you choose to believe from a point of knowing, not because someone told you to believe, not because you had that external pressure to believe. You do it because you're doing it from your heart and from your mind on a conscious level and from an informed perspective. So you get to learn and to question and to explore different things. And here's the thing, why do God want us to learn? The more we learn, the more you know that you don't know. It brings you wisdom. It lessens the chances of you judging people. There is only one person who judges, it's him.
Well, let's remember, Queen, the Bible does say, and I think it's important we point this out, that my people perish for a lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
And it's not even your fault. Sometimes you don't have the knowledge. I mean, it's the problem. I mean, if you get pulled over in a city and you didn't know the speed limit, they don't care. You're still getting a ticket. Exactly. You can still be destroyed for not knowing something that you didn't know you needed to know. And I really believe that I like to know what's going on all the time and how I can increase everything about myself. I like to always be growing and learning, and what can I do to really sharpen whatever I have, especially like Kyle said earlier, we both have dyslexia. We both have dealt with ADD. It's when you're up against that much, you want to see problems fixed.
Yeah.
Right.
We're not like, okay, just whatever, we'll live with it. No, I mean, there are certain traits that you have to know, okay, I'm probably not going to be able to like stop scratching my eyebrow, but in every episode.
But that's just part of your primping. So
no, it's my fidgeting. If I'm not moving, if I don't move, I can't think. It's like,
I've got my
my hands, my Italian
I've got all that
hands up.
stuff. I don't know if what do you want to know?
Yeah,
okay.
Let's do it.
Let's do a human design on G Money here.
Do you want to pull your chart on your end and you tell me what's okay, hold on a second. You put everything in the chat, right?
Yeah, if you could put a link in the chat, I can definitely click on that. I mean, I know my birthday and my date and my time of birth.
Should tell me,
and I need the location as well.
Tell me what we have that complements each other.
Right. Well, and I don't know if you need me to tell it to you in like number format, or you want me to say the month.
Yeah, put it in the chat, and I need your birth date, your time of birth, and your city, the location of birth.
Oh, the city. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. So just to go through the one that we did for Tiffany real quick, are you interested, Tiffany?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's
Okay.
let's go through it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what comes up for you is that you are what we call splenic projector. So just to let everyone knows, right? What am I talking about here? So there are different types in human design. So we have the generators, me, manifesting generators, manifestors, projectors, and reflectors, right? So all in all, we have 5 different types. And with those types, there are so many other ways to have you deep down, like it proves that you are a one in a human history occurrence.
Yeah.
You are unique. You were never created before. There's never ever someone created like you before. And after you're gone, I'm sorry, but there's never ever gonna be anyone like you ever after you're gone. So you are that precious. And let's just not forget that, by the grace and the almightiness of God, he is the creator. So he doesn't need to copy and paste. He is the one who has unlimited creation power, right? So human design comes in to prove and talk about that very deep in details. And so for you, you are what we call the splenic projector. So as I said before, you align 3-4. So what does it mean? So the splenic center, which is the spleen in the body, right, as we mentioned before, is associated with what we call emotions. It's intuitions, right? So it's all about your intuition, like you are an intuitive person, right? So you will either lead and make decisions from intuition or from what we call like the survival instinct, which is fear as well, right? So you have a very, very strong intuition. So it's about wherever you are, who you're talking, and right immediately you are able to know if this is something for you or if this is something that is not for you. You have to pull away from this, right? And you literally make decisions from that place. So it's in the moment. It's never really, you can't really plan things in advance as to when you make your decisions. It really is going to be like, oh, this person in the moment, that environment in the moment, that object or whatever. What am I doing next is like that. You feel your next decision from your body, right?
Yeah.
And so
that's pretty 100%.
relate. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm doing anything, like when Kyle and I booked the tickets for Olga's canteen at Star Wars when we went down there, I booked 4 tickets. And we get there and he's like, why? I said, because 2 people need tickets. And he's like, who? I'm like, I don't know, Kyle. How am I supposed to know that? Like, he had no clue how this operated. He had never seen this part of me. So many of my other friends have seen it and they have to deal with Tiffany going, hold on. Something's going on. Give me a second. Because I'm picking up something, but I don't know who it is that needs what. And I'm trying to like find the energy pool. But that was his first experience, but he ran with it really well. I'm going to give him a lot of credit for that.
Well, I'm an extrovert, so there's that.
Yeah.
I like meeting new people too.
Yeah. So go on, Queen, tell us what we got.
Definitely.
So, Queen,
so
I put my stuff in. So
yeah, I'm gonna try to do them at the same time that I'm talking. Okay, I'm doing your chart and I'm talking at the same time. So we were talking about your lines. So this is 2-4. So you're known to be a person who is very talented and naturally talented at networking with people. So
is this me or her?
Her right now we're still in her. Okay.
Yeah, so, I was so surprised to hear that.
No, I'm not.
I know. I'm
Tiffany's
sure
like, but I've got it. Tiffany's like, but I've got to go out tonight. I've got to work. And I'm like, Tiffany, we just worked all day. She's like, no. I've got to go meet new people for the next group of people. And sure enough, I'm like, you go do your thing. Because I know every time Tiffany goes out, whether she's flying, whether she's going out to dinner with friends or strangers, she brings back great stories. So that's dead on right there.
Right, exactly. And it's fun enough that you're saying this because literally her talent is to tell stories. It's literally written in your chart that you are a great storyteller, and this is how you get to connect with people on a such deep level very quickly.
Awesome.
I love that. That's good.
I can see it. I believe it. I saw it. I mean, when it was happening at the Rainforest Cafe with Stevie, I didn't know what it was. I thought it was just, me and Tiffany just meeting somebody cool. But now that I look back on that day a year and a half ago, when we essentially launched this version of the podcast in our brains and said, this is what we have to do, I look back at that time and say that's exactly what Tiffany was doing. She connected with Stevie in such a way that it was like she was like an old friend, even in me.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
her energy, Tiffany's energy, and Stevie's energy. Because I'm not going to take anything away from you, Stevie, because I think she's very similar. Because they were just very welcoming and true, genuine, wanted to get to know one another type of thing. It was the coolest thing ever. It wasn't even weird to me. It was just like, yeah, this is what's supposed to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now I have your chart, Kyle.
Uh-oh.
So we're going to go into...
I'm a Pisces. I'm a Pisces. I like long walks on the beach. No, I'm just kidding.
you are what we call a manifesting generator. So very close to my type. I'm a generator. You're a manifesting generator. So as a money gen, how we call them, as a money gen, I'm looking at your chart at the same time. You are an ambitious person. You know who you are. You don't have a sense of not knowing who you are. Generally speaking, you know who you are. You know where you're guided. You have a goal in life where you know exactly where you're headed, right? You are again, ambition. You are born to be a natural leader with that talent. You have that constant energy. So that also will overlap with, as you mentioned before the other episode, that you have ADHD. So that's why you feel like you constantly have energies, because you literally are, building energy from that. And close enough to Tiffany, you have your spleen center defined. So that means that you also are very good with your intuition when you consciously try and focus on feeling things, how you feel about things. As a money gen, you are someone who loves to have a lot of different things open at the same time. So we are talking about the brain with different tabs. You have different projects that you
don't want to know how many tabs I have open in front of me right now. I've got 3 computer monitors. How many? Let's just put a guess out there. How many do I have?
Yeah. And it's that, and it's in your brain is the same thing. So you are all the time involving yourself with different kind of project, and it's like you are doing this, and then you're doing that, and then you're doing this, and then you come back, you circle back to the things that you started before, and you go back. And this is like literally how your energy works. You are made to do different things at the same time and still feel fulfilled. So it's not about having one direction. Like me, for example, you need to go pretty much at every direction at the same, one after the other, but at the same time, and so this is how you thrive. This is how you have your energy there. And interesting enough, you have a lot of active channels, right? So these are when you have your energy centers linked together. I'm trying to go as slow as possible because there's a lot of things.
Oh no, I've got a lot of things, huh?
So interesting being with a lot of energy. How do you relate to anything that I said so far?
Pretty much spot on.
Yeah.
Like and it translates for me into, when I build stuff. I'm also a contractor. I can build pretty much anything. My dad taught me a lot of stuff when I was young, and I put myself through college with doing construction with him, and I went away from that for a little while. But it makes sense in my hospital realm too, and it makes sense in my EMS world too, because what is an EMS call? It's organized chaos, right? And I feel most comfortable there. I went and worked in a corporate world for 6 months and couldn't cut it. Even though there was a lot of stuff going on there, it was just too overwhelming. And it was, along with a little corporate sabotage, but it was, when I'm on the medic or I'm in the ER, that's why I like the ER so much, is because ER is chaos, and it's me controlling the chaos. And that's when I get my rush. I come out of times when I even when I do my training for EMS, I come out of what someone felt that was going to be a chaotic and a boring lecture. I come out of that so energized and refilled that, that it's hard to bring me down. I mean, and I can give explanation after explanation. I became an Uber driver because I was missing something in my life. I'm a people person. I started being an introvert, and I started, staying at home and playing video games. And even with that, I was still connecting online and playing with people online. But I finally got to the point where I was like, okay, I've gained 20 pounds drinking beer and playing video games, or I can go out and make money Ubering, right? So I went out and Ubered, and the first night I Ubered, it was like I came home and I couldn't go to sleep, because it was like that superpower. The more people that I get around, the more energy I get. I could go into I can go to a situation dead tired, and if it's a live environment, or if it's just other people that are active, that aren't quiet and not interacting, their batteries recharge my battery.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you mentioned, battery recharging from other people and stuff. So I was like, literally, as you were talking, right before you said that, I was trying to overlap your chart with Tiffany's. And I'm going to tell you where the energy comes in when you are together, right? So Tiffany has...
Uh-oh, this could be scary. This may get cut. No, I'm just kidding.
It's a lot of the
I'm
same
kidding.
stuff.
So
I'm
you
kidding.
guys work in synergy, and that's beautiful because you really complete each other's on so many energy centers, right? So Tiffany has what we call the crown. So the crown is the first energy center, which is
We all know that.
right. Is the energy center responsible for initiating and having ideas, generally speaking. Then she is defined in the third eye, the Hajna. So she is a very deep thinker. So whenever you are, Kyle, whenever you're with her, you have more that energy that you feel in yourself. Am I right?
Yeah, for the most part. Once in a while, Tiffany can even overwhelm me. So, she's definitely got way more energy. I've got a lot of energy, but there's a few people in my life that can overwhelm me, and it's pretty special. My dad is one person. He's very overwhelming to me sometimes. Tiffany can overwhelm. I'm not saying overwhelming in a negative way.
Negative
but
way.
Not in a negative way. It's just they have so much passion and so much thought and so much internal genius, honestly, that they can just they put. I recognize it, and I'm overwhelmed. Does that make sense?
The next point is the throat center. So you, Kyle, have a energy throat center defined. So that means that you are naturally a good communicator. So you talk naturally a lot. Am I right?
Oh my God.
So whenever
I literally bleed in my mouth most of our interviews because I'm biting my tongue so I can be polite and not overwhelming.
And just for the sake of it, to anyone who's listening, you and I, Kyle, we really never really spoke to each other, right? Before.
No,
exactly. So I don't really know you, right? So
you haven't talked at all.
No,
Queen and I talked. You guys have not talked. Yeah,
I've not. Yeah, I introduced her to you, and that was it. I sent I sent you guys both a message together.
A message. That was the introduction. It wasn't verbal. You just said, "Talk to this woman." Yeah.
Yeah, she has no clue who I am.
And so, Tiffany, when you are in the presence of Kyle, you tend to speak a lot.
Well, I'm pretty much talking no matter who I'm in the presence of.
Okay, so it depends on. You might be just in the presence of people.
So Tiffany and I recognize this, okay? Because you're right. She's downplaying it. You're absolutely right. When I told you she can overwhelm me, she does. So we both have a lot of good ideas to bring to this podcast. We're both super passionate about it. We both know this is going to take off and it's going to be amazing. And we're gonna be not only lifelong friends, but we're gonna be now starting August 1st. We're gonna be lifelong business partners because of this. Yeah. So I'm a firm believer in that. But we got to the point where I was like, Tiffany, I've got to get a word in edgewise with you. We need a safe word. and so I'm like,
it's not for fun stuff.
And it's not for fun stuff. And it's not for that. I'm a very, as everyone knows on my podcast, I'm married to Jennifer, and I'm very happy. And Tiffany's happy being single or whatever she is now. No. So, but the thing is we came up with the safe word. That is, and she's the one that, and I'm like, just say Armageddon. I don't know. She's like, well, how about cherry margarita? So if all of a sudden I say cherry margarita during our interview, she knows to like wrap it up.
Well, it helps during our meetings because we do it's not even that we get off course. I mean, half the stuff we talk about in our admin meetings we should be recording because they're funny as hell. But
Right.
we really, we do generate a lot when we're together. I mean, the two of us connect, and there is instant generation of ideas and events and creativity. And with the two of us and our imaginations both, oh my goodness, it's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely overlap, and I can see it here because when you are together, there's literally just out of the 9 energy centers, there's only one that is not filled up, which is that means you have 8 energy centers when you're together filled up. That's a lot of energy. So
that's why we're so overwhelming.
That's why Jen is like, I cannot do this.
I can't. Yeah.
Oh
we
my
just talked
God.
about that on a recent episode where
every energy center that's why she does feel so like every energy center she has.
Yeah, my wife. So she's
so
like, you guys are way too much.
And generally speaking, the one who puts kind of like, I don't want to say the pressure, but pace life when you are together is Tiffany.
Wow.
And I'm probably a really close second when it comes to admin.
I've been broken for a while, so he isn't nowhere.
That's fine. No, I accept that. That's I mean, I've known that for years, I've known that.
Kyle has the sacral center defined, so that means that you naturally have a lot of energy. So when you are together, like her sacral is not defined, yours is. Her root is defined, yours is not. So these two are energy centers for like making things happen and having that pressure to keep going, basically. So that's what you have when you are together.
I can see that.
You overlap in splenic, so that means that both of you, when you're together, you have there's a lot of intuition together. So when you are together, you feel things like way more, basically.
Well, and I know that's and when you say together, that means like in physical space, or is that in
not necessarily
in
whenever you are connected, like in any possible ways, because
because. And what I mean by physical space, like, Tiffany and I we all know we launched the podcast on August 1st at Disney. And when we were at Disney, it was really cool. We were later than I've ever got to Disney in my life. And that was giving me a little anxiety, but I'm like, you know what, this is Tiffany's world, and this is this is what she does. I'm just going to ride with it. But then when we got to Disney and we started walking around and started interacting with people, like I 100%, like I could feel it. Like she would go up to somebody and I would just be like, boy, what's going to come from this? This is going to be awesome. Like she literally stopped. She complimented somebody on their man-made dress or homemade dress, right? That looked like Darth Vader. And she stopped and she turned around and she went right back to her. And I was like, oh, come on. We're trying to get to the ride, it's just whatever. You know what? Throw that out, Kyle. Just let it be. I walked up to her and come to find out, I'm still waiting to hear back from the lady, but come to find out, this is her first trip to Disney. She was there. She survived brain surgery, and they were celebrating. And it was like, and Tiffany just had that, I need to go talk to her, she ended up, I mean, just like that girl in Best Buy, remember Tiffany? Oh my God. That girl in Best Buy.
Yeah.
She's this coworker in Best Buy. We're there dealing with a camera issue. And this girl is having a meltdown. And I look at Tiffany, and I don't think you saw her right away. And I look at Tiffany, and I looked at the girl, and she goes, "What?" And I said, and I just looked back at the girl, and she looked up and saw this girl.
Me. And what was interesting about this, we haven't gone over this, but what was interesting about this was my ex-husband really hated all of my abilities pretty much. And he tapped me. So it went through my brain like as a trigger and just an automatic response that I didn't know was a thing until that moment was, don't bother her, leave her alone, let her deal with it, which is really against everything that I am. That's not what Kyle was saying. Kyle was like, go deal with her. Like, I want you, like, she needs you right now. But I went over, she said she was fine. She obviously wasn't fine. I went back and I hugged her and we started talking, and it was like, she just had this awful situation happen. And then she started crying. And so I hugged her. And then I think I prayed with her too, right, Kyle?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't I? Yeah. And it was, I mean, the poor girl was having a really rough time. She was young. She was very, very young. But the reality is, he was encouraging me. You need to talk to her. Like so I look up and she is clearly not okay. Right. So, we're behind the counter, and at one point I just walk around the counter, and I just was like, listen, I just had to hug her, and then she broke, and because there's no way I could walk away from that situation, because come on. She was what, 19, Kyle?
Yeah,
She
I
was
think
young.
19. Yeah.
She was a young girl. And she was just having a rough time. And it was,
And she looked up when she was done, and she looked at Tiffany. She's like, "Thank you guys." And I'm like,
yeah,
that's what we were put. We were put in this place for a
to
reason
do
for
that.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
absolutely. So going back to the human design, now let's talk about, if you want to have more details about it for your audience and stuff like that. So
yeah,
you get to have so many answers from your human design. It starts with answering the relationship you have with yourself, and just as I was doing a little earlier before, relationships you have with other people, and how you get to overlap, and how you get to literally come in synergy together. So in my work, basically when I work with my clients, it's generally one-on-one, because that's how I am able to, explore my gift to the best of my ability and feel that person in front of me. And so everyone takes time to get to know, right? So the approach for me that is super important is that I tailor everything to you. So in my background, I was trained by the best companies, like I'm talking about Fortune 500 companies. So I'm trained to give the best of my performance to somebody, right? So I'm used to giving VIP treatment. And the way that I can do this is when I do that one-on-one. So that's why I love working with one-on-one people, right? And so what I want to basically bring you towards is it's a journey of self-discovery. It's a journey of where you actually discover yourself in ways that you have never before. And my aim, as I hope to the best of my ability, is that you fall in love with the way that God created you. You were created perfectly. I don't want you to think that there's something wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you ever. What is wrong with us when we feel that there's wrong with us is, first of all, I have a very wide perspective on this. We are born in a world that wants to standardize and put us into a box. So that starts when you're at home as a child. Then you go to school and you learn a specific way of being, specific way of thinking. And you are doing your best, because as a human being, your deepest desire is to belong, right? Your deepest desire is to not feel behind, rejected, or, abandoned as a child, especially. So we are born in a structure, an environment that forces us to be a certain way in order to be accepted, in order to be loved, in order to be respected, right? You behave one way, or X, Y, and Z. So the only way for you to be accepted and stuff like that is to behave that way. And you learn a behavior. You learn a behavior that you were not born naturally as. And so we grow up into a world where we did all the things. We went to school, we did this, we did that, we followed the trend, we dressed like everyone else, we did all the things, got the job, got the university degree or whatever, got married, got all of this stuff. And then we wake up and we feel like we still don't belong. And that is super important, because I guarantee you that, especially because I'm in that field and I have studied that, most people feel like they don't belong. And I'm talking about the crushing majority of people still don't feel like they belong. So when you are sitting by yourself and you're like, what is wrong with me? I guarantee you that everyone as a majority feels the same, because we are taught to be a way that is not natural. We still have that way of the way that God designed us, that natural way that still lies within us. And we think that is the part that is wrong with us, when it's actually
what's right,
that is going to deliver us from feeling like we don't belong. You can only belong when you are your full, unique self. This is how we all come as a puzzle in the society. It's a paradigm. It's a different way of thinking that we all are brought into, right? It's a paradigm, a new way of life where there is no competition. There is no jealousy. There is no envy, because you get to understand who you are and you love who you are. You get to stay that person and let that be more than enough, while you recognize the beauty in other people that are different from you.
I like that. That is amazing.
It really is.
I think everybody can benefit from this. And I think once they realize it's not like using astrology to tell what your day will be like,
Right.
or who you should date, or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
This is all about understanding your exact design
Yeah.
and where your strengths are, and then utilizing those strengths to bring you in money, and recognizing I was given this strength for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm a connector, which we already knew that. And I need to connect. And if I'm not out there connecting with people, I do get depressed. I mean, if no matter what's happening with me, get me on a phone with somebody, get me
Yeah.
talking to somebody, get me out of my little hole, and I will get
Yeah.
happier.
Right.
Absolutely.
I really think what I want to know is, how would people get a hold of you, Kyle? Are we able to put that stuff up later, right? So
Yeah,
they can
whatever
reach
she
out to
wants
her.
to.
What do
Yeah,
you,
I
how
can
do
put
you
it in
want
the
people to reach
description.
out to you so
Yeah.
that they can get their own human design with you?
Absolutely. You can reach out to me on Instagram. I hang out a lot on it. So you can just direct message me. And my handle is coachqueen.sg.
So you have a .sg
Yeah.
in your name. Okay, so
Okay.
coachqueen.sg.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So yeah, when it comes to human design, it's learning to know who you are. It's learning all the beautiful things about you, you know, your strength, your purpose in life, why God created you with that special gift or talent. And then you get to do whatever you want with it. You want to monetize it and make it a business, go ahead. You just want to do it because it makes you feel happy and you feel like you don't want to monetize it. Is the same thing. Go ahead. The point is for you to be the purest version of you before, you know, go back to becoming the version of you that you were before the world told you who to be. And
Exactly.
based on this comes self-love. Based on this comes incredible self-confidence. It comes you stop people pleasing because you are understanding who you are and who everyone else. As I said earlier, there's no competition, right? Comes leadership because you start to follow your own way of being, your own way of making decisions. And it's literally like you're not feeling like anyone else is on a pedestal, like everyone comes back at the same level. And it's a message of self-acceptance, self-love, and love and acceptance for everybody else around you. So I use that in business settings. I use that for leadership as well, because the deepest I can go within you, with you, and make you understand who you are, the more chances you have to rise in that power, unique power that you already have within you. Nothing comes outside of you. You already have those things within you. And then you get to literally be who you want to be and live the best life. It's a lifetime journey. It's excellence, is joy, is happiness, is fulfillment, is more connection with people and with yourself and God at the same time.
That's really exciting, actually.
Yeah.
And Kyle and I really like, the best part about this is because it does bring in that, we, even though we don't specifically do a Christian podcast, him and I, both do believe in Jesus and God, and we both pray, and we prayed together many, many times in our lives. And I feel like, I think when people really understand that God designed you specifically, without doubt, and they'll say it and you hear people say it, but when you really hear it and you're like, he actually did specifically design us with, everything in us on purpose.
Yeah.
And it shows in that human design. Okay, you're here. This is all on purpose.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, all the tools are there. That's what I want to really clarify, because I know we are talking to people who have faith here, and so do I, just like you guys. And at the end of the day, you can take everything as a proof that God exists, and you can take everything as a proof that God does not exist. It's your choice. People take science as a proof that God exists, and other people worship science. People take science like in science, we're talking about quantum physics, which is science, and you can even bridge out to astrology, which is what it is. And other people worship astrology. So you can take that as a knowledge and be like, oh, okay, I don't understand because God did not did not create us with a brain to understand all of his powers. And quantum physics, we're talking about extremely pushed science. My husband, who's a mechanical engineer, we talk about asters, like the planets, all the time. And
Yeah.
he's talking to me and he says quantum physics is so difficult. He is a mechanical engineer who graduated top of his high school and got a grant to go to high school, to university for free. So all that was because he top graduated, and he has that logical thinking, logical intelligence, whereas I have this more like spiritual thinking intelligence, right?
Yeah.
So you're bringing two people who have like a high level of intelligence, just like you, Tiffany, right? And so at the end of the day, right, if people who are trained and go to university can't really understand quantum physics, you cannot know what really it is. The point is not to understand and try to, what I'm trying to say is that you will not go to hell for looking into it. You will go to hell for believing and putting that as your God.
What I agree with you 100%. I was just telling somebody the other day, I was explaining why there's so many electronical difficulties, because Mercury's a giant
retrograde.
No, this wasn't you, Kyle. This was somebody else.
Okay.
Right. And I'll tell you, when you hear their answer, you're gonna know I don't mean you. And I said, no, you don't understand. We have a giant magnet that's coming past our planet, and that's why it affects our equipment today. At the day and age we live in, we operate solely on electronics, and it has never in history been like that. So it does affect us more than it did 100 years ago, or even 200 years ago. And they're like, no, I don't believe in Mercury or our sun flares. I'm like, okay, so that's not even like two sentences that actually are words that you put together make sense. But okay. And you should probably not be at the beach when we have high sun flares for the day. Like, these are important things that are science. So, but I mean, but people are so afraid of anything. They're like, oh my God, if somebody says there's a full moon, I should be afraid. But Kyle works on an ambulance, and those are always calm nights, aren't they, Kyle?
everything is linked together. Everything is linked together, and this is just science. Like, God created us into a universe. We are part of the universe, right? There's a reason why the moon is where it is. You know, like when the moon changes and the moon phases, we know as science that the tide in the beaches, in the sea, is affected by the moon phases. So if you just have this, it's a very simple, you just get this when you are looking at the weather. They explain that as Science 101, right?
Right.
If the moon has this effect on the water, what else has effect on us? Everything is linked with each other. All the seasons come in and go like in their perfect orders because they are linked with each other's. If there's one season missing, everything goes out of alignment, right? Like, we are part of the universe. And what's important to understand also is that there are billions of universe with a B.
Billions.
Yeah.
Billions
of and even this is recently, just not even stars, just basic science. The hurricane came through. We didn't even get the hurricane. We just had the tropical depression.
Yeah.
Everyone will tell you as that's coming through, you're exhausted. I mean, when it was already past Tallahassee, it was on in South Carolina. That next day, everybody everywhere was yawning, tired, exhausted. The pressure had changed. And we all knew what it was because you live here. Oh, those storms just take it out of you. And there wasn't a question. Nobody was like, I don't know if I believe in that. There was no question because we get them all the time. We are well aware what happens here.
Every change of the seasons, people get sick all the time, especially in fall. Why do you think it is? It's because literally the leaves are falling from the trees, and that is creating a special effect on us that brings bacteria and stuff like that.
The mold, exactly. All the bacteria, the mold is exactly. It's so much.
Everything is linked with each other. So when science goes as far as trying to understand what's going on outside of the Earth, Like, we don't, barely question Elon Musk when he wants to go to Mars. No, at the end of the day, it's all about science and trying to understand more and more and more.
Or whatever he wants to shoot in space.
Well,
As we
fantastic.
said earlier, right? God wants us to know more so that we make decisions from an informed place. So it's not, as long as you don't in your heart worship those things, it's just knowledge.
Well, because when you're praying, I'm not praying to Pluto, I'm praying to God, I'm praying for Jesus. I know that I need him to come through for me in these situations and to move the atmosphere and to change things. So I do know that is what I'm going for. That's what I'm doing. I'm not going to anything else for that. And I think that's just really important. All right, everybody. Thank you again for joining us here at the Elite Few. Kyle and I love having you with us. And today it was so excited to have Coach Queen back. I've really had an amazing time getting to know her, work with her. I cannot wait to continue to work with her. She's really impacting on my life. And I love everything that she does. If you are looking to see what she can possibly do to help you, she also specializes in public speaking. So if you're having things that you want to be dealing with that moving forward in that, contact her, see what she can do. Let's find out what your human design is. See what your strengths are. See what you're missing. See what maybe you think is a flaw and it's actually one of your biggest strengths, and you need to run with that and change the direction of your life and what's going on. So once again, it was great having you here. Continue to join us and stay fabulous. I can't wait to see you next time.